I was born at Blunderstone, in Suffolk, in the east of England, and was given my poor father's name, David Copperfield. Sadly, he never saw me. He was much older than my mother when they married, and died 6 months before I was born. My father's death made my beautiful young mother very unhappy, and she knew she would find life extremely difficult with a new baby and a husband. The richest and most important person in our family was my father's aunt, Miss Bessie Trotwood. She had in fact been married once to a handsome young husband, but because he demanded money from her and sometimes beat her, she decided they should separate. He went abroad, and soon news came of his death. Miss Trotwood bought a small house by the sea, and lived there alone with only one servant. She hadn't spoken to my father since his marriage, because she considered he had made a mistake in marrying a very young girl. But just before I was born, when she heard that my mother was expecting a baby, she came to visit Blunderstone. It was a cold, windy Friday afternoon in March. My mother was sitting by the fire, feeling very lonely and unhappy, and crying a little. Suddenly a stern, strange-looking face appeared at the window. "Open the door," ordered the stone-faced lady. My mother was shocked, but obeyed at once. "You must be David Copperfield's wife," said the lady as she entered. "I'm Bessie Trotwood. You've heard of me?" "Yes," whispered my mother, trembling. "How young you are!" cried Miss Bessie. "Just a baby!" And my mother started sobbing again. "I know I look like a child. I know I was young to be a wife, and I'm young to be a mother. But perhaps I'll die before I become a mother." "Come, come," answered Miss Bessie. "Have some tea. Then you'll feel better. What do you call your girl?" "My girl? I don't know yet that it would be a girl," replied my mother miserably. "No, I don't mean the baby. I mean your servant. Her name's Petty. Her first name's Carter, the same as mine, so I call her by her family name, you see." "What a terrible name! However, never mind, Petty," she called, going to the door. "Bring Mrs. Copperfield some tea at once." She sat down again and continued speaking. "You were talking about a baby. I'm sure it'll be a girl. Now, as soon as she's born—" "He, perhaps," said my mother bravely. "Don't be stupid. Of course it'll be she. I'm going to send her to school and educate her well. I want to prevent her from making the mistakes I've made in life." Miss Bessie looked quite angry as she said this. My mother said nothing, as she was not feeling at all well. "But tell me, were you and your husband happy?" asked Miss Bessie. This made my poor mother feel worse than ever. "I know I wasn't very sensible about money or cooking or things like that," she sobbed. "But we loved each other, and he was helping me to learn, and then he died. Oh!" And she fell back in her chair, completely unconscious. Peggotty, who came in just then with the tea, realized how serious the situation was, and took my mother upstairs to bed. The doctor arrived soon afterwards, and stayed all evening to take care of his patient. At about midnight he came downstairs to the sitting-room where Miss Bessie was waiting impatiently. "Well, doctor, what's the news? How's she?" "The young brother is quite comfortable, madam," replied the doctor politely. "But she, the baby, how is she?" cried Miss Bessie. The doctor looked strangely at Miss Bessie. "It's a boy, madam," he replied. Miss Betsy said nothing, but walked straight out of the house, and never came back.